Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Sini. I am happy to be here for the father-daughter paint night event. This is the painting that we will be painting. It is a jar with fireflies that go across and make a heart. I also added a couple of little night crawlers in there and a shooting star. And you will get to personalize your painting however you want at the end as well. So the fun thing about this painting is that it is a double painting, and that means that each person gets to paint their own canvas, but on each side there is a different image, but then when you put them together they make one complete painting. When we start, both of you will be doing the same exact thing, and then after we paint the backgrounds, that's when Dad will be painting one side and daughter will be painting the other. And don't worry about painting the jar. I did make a stencil for you, or you can paint it freehand, it's up to you. The main thing that you need to remember when you are painting is first, have fun, and second, if you make a mistake, it's okay, because there are ways that you can fix it, or sometimes you can just go with your mistake and turn it into a happy accident, as Bob Ross would say. So without further ado, get your aprons on and get ready for a fun night of painting. Have fun, friends. The first thing that you're going to need to do is set up your work area. So you want to find a table cover, and you want to get a paper plate. We'll need this for mixing later. You'll need to have a cup of water and a paper towel, or access to some paper towels, and the paint brushes. There should be a square large paintbrush, a round paintbrush, a smaller round paintbrush, and another square or angled paintbrush in your kit. And then you should also have a cup of black, a cup of blue, a cup of green, yellow, and white for this painting. Now, we will be painting at the same time, so the first parts will be painting the same exact thing. So even though this is a double painting, we're going to need the same background. We're going to start with black, and I'm going to use the largest brush to start with black at the top of the paintings. So you both, Dad and daughter, can do this at the same time. So what I'm going to do is get some black. I have black on both sides of the brush. I want to make sure it's not dripping everywhere, because we don't want to make a big mess. And then we're going to start painting at the top of the painting. And I'm using a back and forth stroke. Now, if you notice here, the paint gets scratchy. So I just got a couple of good strokes of paint at the top for good coverage. Once it gets scratchy, you need to add more paint to your brush. So I'm going to grab some, make sure that it doesn't drip everywhere, and then I'm just going to continue with the long strokes across the top. You want to try to paint in the same direction. So I'm painting in a horizontal direction, back and forth and back and forth. You can also paint on the sides and on the top of the painting. This is acrylic paint, and this acrylic paint will not wash out of clothes. Now once we get to about a third of the way down, we're going to begin to add some blue. And I don't need to rinse out my brush because I'm going to add the blue with the black and I want them to blend together. When you put the blue on your brush, you want to make sure that you grab the blue from the very edge of the cup and not the center of the cup. That way you don't ruin all the blue paint in the middle of the cup. And I'm going to take the blue and I'm just going to blend that blue right in with the black, and I'm going to keep picking up more blue, and then you're going to notice more blue will be showing up on the canvas, and I'm just blending that blue with the black. And as I move down the canvas, I'm going to eventually have more blue than black. Don't forget to paint the sides. And I'm using nice long brush strokes. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little more black here so that I can blend that blue a little bit better. Pick up a little more blue and then blend that again. So then you should have a nice transition from black to blue, dark blue. And if you get those white brush strokes, just want to make a long brush stroke there so that eliminates that white. Now I'm going to go ahead and rinse out my brush. Make sure that you rinse it thoroughly. Scrape the extra water off of the brush, and you'll notice I have a little bit of black still on the brush, so I'm going to keep rinsing it until I get all the black out. I like to use a paper towel to squeeze the extra water out of the brush. It also gets any of that extra paint out of the brush. I'm going to pick up some blue paint. It's okay if there's still a little bit of black. It's not going to hurt anything. Pick up some blue. And now I'm going to start to pick up a little bit of white and add a little bit of white to the blue. We're going to transition from a middle blue to a white. I'm still going to leave the blue on my brush, and I'm going to do the same trick that I did with the blue paint. I'm going to pull the paint from the very edge of the cup, and then I'm going to add some white down here at the bottom. And then just blend that white right into the blue. Yeah. And now I'm pulling that blue right up into the black. You want to make sure too with the acrylic paint, the acrylic paint dries really fast. So this area up here is already dry almost, and if I keep painting where it's drying, the paint is going to get really gloppy. So you want to make sure that you're not over painting in an area. You paint over and over and over again. So now we're just going to let this dry until we're ready to add the green. Okay, so now that we have the sky done, now we're going to do the grass. And to do the grass, we're going to use that large brush. Make sure that you clean it out really good from the blue and the white. And we're going to take green on the large brush, like this. And I've got the green on both sides. Need to mix that up just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and start painting. It is okay if that white is not completely dry. You can take the paintbrush and hold it perpendicular to the canvas like this, straight up and down, and then just make a line for the ground. It can be wiggly or it can be straight. It's completely up to you. And it is okay if you can see a little bit of the canvas through the green, because we will be adding some more green on top for the grass, the blades of grass. This is just the base layer. So I'm going to continue to paint green. And remember that technique of not over painting in an area too much, because if you keep painting in the same area over and over again, it's going to get really gloppy because this paint dries really fast. Now these are going to hang together, so you do want to make sure that the grass line kind of continues. If it's not the same, then you can just even that up a little bit. So this one here is up a little higher, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring that up on this side just a little bit. So now the grass line is the same. So now the fun part. We get to start to add some blades of grass, and I'm going to keep my green on my brush. And what I'm going to do is pick up some white with the green. And remember, I'm picking just from the edge of the cup there. And then I'm just going to make some lines like this to add some texture. And it's okay that the white just kind of blends in with the green, and I'm just going to continue to pick up some white and just make some little marks like this. It's just, some might go a little bit sideways, so I'm going to start up here at the top and then work my way down. The more gentle you are touching the canvas, the skinnier the blades will be. If you push harder, they're going to be a lot wider. So you can make the brush skinnier by pressing on both sides like this, and then just very lightly touching the canvas. And we're just adding some texture, and this is just the second layer. Next, I'm going to switch to the larger round brush, and I'm going to pick up some green from my cup. I'm going to make sure that I don't touch any other colors. If I used white over here, I just want green. And now I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow. And again, you just want to pick from the side so that you don't ruin all the color in there. And I'm going to do the same thing, but with yellow. Now we're going to take a break and let the grass dry before we add the jar, which one participant will draw the jar, and then on the other side, the fireflies will be coming out to make a heart. Now it's time for the jar and the fireflies. So I have a template for the person that will be working on the left side of the canvas. So what we're going to do is position the jar so that it looks like it is leaning over in the grass, and then the fireflies are going to shoot out over to here. So what we're going to do is use the small round brush. We're going to use some white, but what we're going to do is use the plate, and we're going to get some water and grab a little bit of white, and what we want to do is just water down the white so it's a little bit translucent. So I'm just grabbing some of the white paint and water, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the paintbrush so that I have a nice little round tip, nice little pointy tip there. And then I'm going to hold the jar, and I'm going to just very gently trace around the jar. And it's okay if it's not perfect. If you make a mistake, you can take a paper towel, dip it in a little bit of water, and then just wash away your mistake. And we'll just lift that up, and there is the outline of the jar. Now what we're going to do is add some details to the jar. So we want the jar to look like it is translucent. So again, we're just going to get some water and make that a little bit translucent. So now what we're going to do over here on this side is we're going to draw an oval. A little bit of reflections in there, just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing up at the top. I'm going to keep adding water to this to continue to make it watery and translucent. Add a little more white at the bottom of the jar here. And then I'm going to add some lines up here to the jar, the top of the jar. We're going to add the swirls. We're going to add some more reflections to the jar. Add a little bit of roundness up here on the top. I'm going to add reflection here. And then a reflection down here. Kind of disappearing in the white. reflection down here. And on the bottom, this is just another little oval there. Add a reflection up here. Now I'm taking the largest brush, I'm going to add some water, lots of water, and even if it's dirty, that's okay. Or you can get some fresh water. I'm going to add a little bit of white, but I want it to be mostly watery, and I'm going to just paint over top to make this look like it's glass. And like I said, you want it to be mainly water with a little bit of white, and then you get that frosted look. And then we're going to go back in and add some reflections. So as this participant is working on the glass jar, then this participant can start working on the fireflies, and we want the fireflies to shoot out. So you want to make sure that you have your canvases kind of together. I'm going to take the smallest paintbrush, and I'm going to take some water and a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow on the plate. Mix a little bit of water, and what I'm going to do is have the fireflies, I'm just going to make a dot where I want the fireflies to go. And what we want them to do is kind of form a bit of a heart over here. So they're going to come out over here, go down towards the grass, back up again into a heart. So you can see this heart shape. And I'm going to add some fireflies coming out from the jar. And then to make the fireflies look like they're glowing, what we're going to do a little technique where we're going to kind of smudge them a little bit. So I'm going to make the dots a little bit bigger. And again, if you placed a dot somewhere that you think it doesn't belong, then you can take a paper towel and put a little bit of water on it and then just kind of wash it away. Or you can use the black to paint over it, but then you have to let it dry. Okay, so what I'm going to do to make these look like they're glowing is take a paper towel and then just smudge. So I'm twisting, twist, twist, twist. And you can make them even bigger. I think I want to make them just a little bit bigger. And then smudge it. I want this to look more like a heart. I feel like it doesn't look as much like a heart, so I'm gonna go ahead and I think I want to add another firefly up here to make that look more like a heart shape. Like that. There, that looks a little better. And then we're gonna add some other fireflies in here inside the heart. And you can make them bigger, smaller, but this is just the glowing part of the firefly. And you can use the smudging technique. Twist, 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 twist. Go over that again, add some water, a little bit of white, and a little bit of yellow, water. And I'm just making little circles. Make them look like they're glowing. Do the same thing over here. And then we also want to add some fireflies that are in the jar, trying to escape. Now we're gonna go back to the jar and we're gonna pick up some more water, and this time we're gonna add some shadows to the jar, but I want these to be really watery, so I picked up some water. I'm gonna use blue and white, and I'm gonna add some shadows right below the, I don't know what they're called, this part here. Add some here around the jar here too. Add a little more blue and white, and add some shadows on the bottom of the jar here. Even add just a wee little bit, just an eensy weensy bit of black, make that gray. Right underneath and inside. Now I'm going to add, in the middle of the firefly, a little bit of white, and then a little bit of yellow, And I'm going to add a little dot right in the middle. This is where the light is coming from. Just a little dot. You want to make sure that you have white in there with the yellow. You can take and just add some wee little dots off in the distance. The stars or fireflies. And you can even take your finger and smudge those if you want, or a paper towel, or you can just leave them as they are. And I've just used the white and the yellow, just very gentle touch. The other thing that you can do with the painting to make it look like a ball mason jar, you can write, if you feel comfortable, this is optional, you do not have to do that. I'm gonna write dream since it's at night. So I'm just using the very tippy top of the brush, and I'm going to use white first. There's still a little bit of blue in there, and that's okay. I'm going to keep adding some water. So I'm going to write this in cursive because ball jars are written in cursive, and I'm just using the very tippy top of the brush. So now I have it written out. I'm going to go ahead and make it a little thicker, and then I'm going to blend a little bit of blue in there. So if you notice, what I'm doing here is I'm twisting the brush so that I get that nice point. Go ahead and pick up some blue. Another fun thing that you can do on this side is you can paint in maybe an insect or night crawler. And again, this is optional. You do not have to do this. This is just a little extra. So I'm going to take some green. And a little bit of blue. And we want it to be really dark because it's at night, so it's not going to be really brownish, it's going to be darker. Add a little bit of yellow. So I added green and black. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. Got a brownish, dark color there. Add a little bit of blue. Whites. Alright. You could also draw a grasshopper or whatever you want. I'm gonna go ahead and point. And we want this guy to look like he's slithering through the grass. So I'm gonna make him go behind and in front of, so I'm just kind of making a dotted line. Another one. Let's see, maybe about right here. This one's going to be just a bit longer. And now's the time where you can add personal touches of your own that you would like to add. If you want to add anything else in the sky, or add any details or extras to personalize it. And I hope that you had fun painting.